Broadcasting live from the True Crime Today studios to the world. This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
From the Hit Killers Podcast, Murder in the Morning.
The wheels of the Alec Murdaugh saga have begun to turn again. His defense team have now filed a 132-page appeal to the South Carolina Supreme Court, seeking to overturn his convictions for the 2021 murders of his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul. Central to the appeal are allegations of misconduct by court clerk Becky Hill, and claims the trial judge erred in allowing evidence of Murdaugh's financial crimes to be presented to the jury. Disgraced attorney, once a prominent figure in South Carolina's legal world, is serving life in prison after being found guilty of the brutal killings. Murdaugh has consistently denied committing the murders, including during his emotional testimony at trial. Defense attorneys Jim Griffin and Dick Harpootlian argue that the integrity of the trial was compromised by Hill's alleged behavior. They cite testimony from jurors and other witnesses claiming Hill encouraged jurors to closely scrutinize Murdaugh's testimony, implying his guilt. According to the appeal, Hill suggested that a guilty verdict would enhance the sales of her book about the trial. Providing Murdaugh with the fair trial that every citizen of South Carolina would expect for himself is necessary to assure that no one, powerful or humble, innocent or guilty, hated or beloved, is prescribed from due process and the equal protection of the law, the defense wrote in the appeal. Earlier this year, Judge Jean Toll didn't do her job and determined that Hill's actions were, while foolish and motivated by publicity, did not actively change jurors' minds. However, Murdaugh's lawyers contend that the appearance of I can't say this word right now. Jesus.
Hang on, I lost my spot.
Impropriety,
yes.
I was like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, why is the word, I can hear it in my head, maybe I'm having a stroke, is sufficient grounds for overturning the convictions. The appeal also challenges the admissibility of evidence related to Murdaugh's financial crimes, which prosecutors argued provided motive for the killings. The trial judge, Clifton Newman, allowed the jury to hear 6 days of testimony about Murdaugh's theft from clients and his law firm, reasoning that it is demonstrating his desperation to divert attention from his financial misdeeds. The defense maintains that the inclusion of financial crime evidence was prejudicial and unnecessary, writing, the state was improperly permitted to introduce evidence of Murdaugh's alleged financial crimes solely to impugn his character to bolster an otherwise weak case. Physical evidence linking Murdaugh to the murders was minimal, the appeals asserts. The weapons used in the crimes were never found, and only small amounts of blood were detected on Murdaugh's clothes. Defense attorneys also questioned the reliability of forensic evidence presented during the trial, including an investigator's unrecorded experiments with an iPhone to support the prosecution's theory about Maggie's phone. Yeah, that was a fun one. Prosecutors have yet to respond to the appeal. The South Carolina Supreme Court will review the arguments along with extensive materials from the 6-week trial. A hearing is not expected for several months. Even if the convictions are overturned, Murdaugh is unlikely to regain his freedom. He's serving an additional 40-year sentence for financial crimes after pleading guilty to embezzling millions from clients and his law firm. As a part of the plea agreement, Murdaugh waived his right to appeal those convictions. There you go. That's the latest on Alec.
That drives me nuts. I know they pronounce it Alec, but it's spelled Alex. So
I know.
I'm a purist. If something looks one way in the English language, I want it spoken that way.
It's
but
a
whatever.
name, though, so you kind of got to say it how the person wants to say it.
So I have a question, and you've been following this case much longer than I have. What difference does any of this make? He is not getting out for 40 years because of his financial crimes. So, what's the point? What's the point of any of this?
Legacy. He doesn't want to be named as a murderer of his wife and son.
And I guess I never really put two and two together that they never did have the murder weapons. So wouldn't that be called circumstantial evidence?
Well, a lot of it was. It's just Alec's story changed several times. It literally changed
That's right.
on the stand, shocking everyone. So, yeah, I mean, and he's a compulsive liar. So
Right.
it just shows the character of Alec Murdaugh. I think he can pull this off and really kind of make you think he didn't do it. But I think in reality, he could have. I think he's a chameleon. I think he can be whoever he wants. And
If he didn't do it, who did?
the other thought is it could have been a hit, but I think Alec knew about it.
Do you think he had anything to do with it? If he didn't physically do it, do you think that he...
Very likely, or he had no choice in the matter.
That he was being blackmailed and it just needed to happen?
Yeah.
Ew, that's ugly.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, if you're to look at the motive for why did he do it? Well, because his son had fucked up his life left and right. Because look, the kid was an idiot and he just did arrogant, dumbass things left and right. And I think Alec had fucking had it with him. And there was going to be all that issue still with his upcoming trial for the boat and the Mallory Beach death.
Oh, that's right.
I could see him just being like, if he's dead, I'll get sympathy, and it'll kind of change the course of directions for his image in that community, because it was not on a good track at that moment in time. Maggie, she was ready to get divorced. And if that were to happen, she could easily, go after and take all of his shit, or a good half of it. Or what would likely happen more than anything else is if it were to go into a divorce and they started doing a little financial digging, they would uncover a bunch of Alec's crimes. And so that would sink him right there. So I think it might have been, if he did kill them, it was in an attempt to stop his finances from being looked into to that level, because that would happen in the divorce. And also he would get sympathy for the death of Paul, and it would stop that court case, and it would stop that whole process. Obviously there was the civil, but it would have, and it did those things. But,
initially. It's interesting that you bring that up. And I'm going to tell a little bit of my family story. My brother got into some legal trouble. He started doing some really bad shit later in life. And when the feds were coming in at him, he ended up getting his wife pregnant, my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. And I think he did that thinking that would bring sympathy, because now he's got a newborn. You can't send him to jail. Where has this sort of aspect of, well, they're going to take pity on me because I've got this and this going on? That's never, ever happened in the court of law. You're still going to get arrested if you've done something wrong.
I think he thought he would just get away with it. It wasn't something where I think he thought the jury was in his upcoming trials that didn't exist at the time. We're going to have pity on him. It was community. I think it would help his image in his community. And it would also then maybe make people back off a little bit on it. I don't think he thought anyone was going to investigate him as the murderer. And I think he thought he'd get sympathy, which he initially did, because they didn't arrest him right away. He was free for quite a while. And yeah, so there's that.
Well, and he was such a fixture in this community. So, it wasn't like he was just some ding dong who decided to get his wife pregnant and think, oh, they'll take pity on me. No, this guy was part of the community.
And his image.
So I guess I can see it from his aspect that, they're not going to arrest me. Look at who I am. Don't you know who I am?
Look at who I am. And he desperately saw places where he was going to be caught at things. And he was trying to eliminate them before he could get caught. But in those ways, he was caught in other ways. But I think he thought that this is what I have to do, because if you're that level of narcissist that I think he is, it all comes down to you and your image, no matter what. That's, even if it involves your family dying, or you killing them, or having someone kill them, whatever it's going to take to preserve your image, that's what they will do. And I think this is a prime example of it.
Well, and then we need to deal with Becky Hill, because it sounds like whatever she did, she set this up for a mistrial. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. This should not be happening in the United States.
And, it's, it makes you wonder a little bit about Becky Hill, because some of these things were very blatant and just stupid. Is she just kind of that folksy idiot that this is just kind of how they run things here in Colleton County? And, she's just been doing this forever and no one's ever raised an eyebrow to it. But there's such a microscope on this case that finally it was like, shit, you can't do that, Becky. Was that the case? Or the other, we're going to go conspiracy on it. Alex been around that courthouse. He knew Becky Hill. Did he want her to do this to throw the case?
No, geez.
As like an insurance policy. Like, found innocent, nobody's going to question any of that. Found guilty, boom.
Huh. Boy, hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah.
This is such a complex case in so many ways.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I mean, there are so many possibilities to this. I don't think we're ever going to know.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to know the truth. I don't think we're going to know what happened to Murdaugh's family, because I don't think he's going to fess up, because he thinks he didn't do it.
No.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Unless you have a third party involved that did do it and will come forward and can present a story that adds up to Alex's whereabouts as well. And maybe you can show some evidence that this was, ordered by him, or that this was a hit and it was, really more vengeance at Alec, or what? Because if I could see it being that way, where he is able in his twisted mind to be able to say out loud, I did not kill them. Doesn't mean you didn't arrange for someone to kill them, or that someone's going to kill them no matter what in vengeance against you. Mm-hmm. But all of them are byproducts of Alec's behavior.
Well, and keep in mind, too, it's all going to be about how you phrase it to him. He is a very smart individual.
Yeah.
He'll find the loophole in the sentence of you asking, did he do it?
And he can believe he believes the loophole. And that's the thing. So, yeah.
Boy.
I do think this should get another trial, though, strictly because of Becky Hill's misconduct. And I think they should look further into that would be an interesting twist to this, if there's some sort of proof showing that it was some sort of collusion with Murdaugh. There's no evidence to present that's out there for that. That's just a complete conjecture on my part of, wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah. You might be onto something, though.
I think you should look down that road. I mean, he's tricky as shit.
Oh, he's a very conniving, smart man. Yeah. So he needs somebody just as smart, if not smarter, to try to figure out what he's up to.
I'd be looking at Becky's finances around. Yeah. I would be wondering, were there any places where she received some large chunk of money that somehow is connected to Murdaugh? I'm sure there would be intermediaries where you'd have to really dig, but if there's something there.
I would almost guess that he's smart enough to have not funneled money to her. Maybe it came in other ways.
That's what I'm saying. It would have gone through some sort of intermediary or multiple, and then it made it to her.
Did her lifestyle change? Did she start wearing different clothes and have some jewelry and go on vacations and things that maybe you couldn't track?
I wonder. That's just another angle. Or maybe we're just overthinking it, because reality most times is very simple. And it's not that overthought. Maybe she just is the bumbling, person that she is, and just talking her mind. And that's what it was.
Boy, so if you think you're having a bad day, it could always be worse.
Just a bit.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale, and just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite. But here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk. Ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.